Hi folks, something a bit different for you today. You're probably wondering what this big metal box is I have here. I'm going to talk about batteries today, particularly fake batteries on eBay because it's rife. Now, whenever I'm experimenting with certain types of battery, ones are more likely to go on fire or explode, I charge them inside this metal box and that just gives it a little bit more safety, a bit of fireproofing. Now, these batteries I'm going to talk about are 18650 batteries. They're not very common in the household sense. You won't find them in your remote control and stuff like that, your kids' toys. However, they get used a lot in high power torches. That's how I ran into them, from airsoft, using torches on my guns. And also, they're coming up in use for those vape machines that people smoke. Now, that's particularly dangerous because if one of these explodes in a metal bodied torch, it's no big deal. If one of these explodes when you're holding it in a little machine up to your face, well, that's not so good. Now, I bought these batteries off eBay and they were working okay in my torch. I noticed the battery life was a little short, but didn't think too much of it. They were doing the job to some degree. But I got talking to my friend Martin just recently, and that was what really sort of got me aware of just how much these are faked. And I looked a bit closer at my batteries and they are indeed completely fake. And I'm going to show you that and how to spot these fakes yourself. Now, one of the very first giveaways on these is the markings on the casing itself. The grammar is laughable on the small print and even has spelling mistakes. You know, instead of shelf life it says sheath life. And another thing, the quoted milliamp hour, that's the capacity of the battery. Of these is 4200 milliamp hour, and that's not the highest I've seen on eBay. Some are even as high as 8000 and 9000. Now the fact is, that's just ridiculous. They're putting those big numbers on there to basically sell more batteries. You know, people tend to think the bigger the number, the better the product. But the fact is, the leading manufacturers of these batteries, Panasonic, LG, Samsung, they themselves who are putting the proper technology into these batteries, they are only really approaching the 4000 milliamp hour themselves. So if you're seeing cheap batteries on eBay at 8000 milliamp hour, or basically anything over, say 3700, you need to be asking questions, especially if they're cheap, and that's another indicator as well. If they're too cheap, they're going to be rubbish. These batteries, the technology in them does cost money, and it really is a case with these that you get what you pay for. Maybe not all the time. Just because somebody charges a high price for the battery doesn't mean it's going to be genuine, but you can almost certainly say if it's too cheap that it's going to be fake. The next big giveaway is the weight of the battery. Now, as I said, to get the power and the capacity into this small package, it takes a lot of materials and a lot of technology. Now, a genuine 18650 battery always weighs around about 45 grams. You can't get away from that. If you want that power and that capacity, that's what it weighs. These cheap ones weigh 25 grams. Now that's suspicious straight away. There's no way they can have the capacity and power they claim for such a small weight. Another scam that they have is old laptop batteries are often shipped abroad to China and countries like that for recycling. Now they'll open up those laptop packs. They'll take out these 18650 cells, which are most commonly inside the pack. They will then repackage them, put a new outer wrapper on them, and sell them back to us at a premium. Now, if you check your batteries when you buy them, and they have these dimple marks top and bottom, that is a classic sign that that battery has been used already as part of a laptop pack or something like that, and broken down, repackaged and resold. New batteries don't have those little dimple marks. That's where they weld on the connectors to make up the pack. Now the final test, and probably the most conclusive, is to charge the batteries on a charger that shows you how many milliamp hours it's putting back into the battery. You'll find that these cheap ones don't take anywhere near the quoted figure when you compare that to a real one. The charging time is a lot longer and it puts a lot more capacity back in, and that makes sense because if you had two different sizes of water jug and you're filling them up, the bigger one's going to take longer to fill. If your batteries are charging too quick, it can only be one of two things. You're either charging them at too high a rate, which is not good for the battery, or the capacity is very low, as with these fakes. Now you'll see a couple of sparks, or maybe not, I don't know if they'll come over in video, as I'm prising the top off, and that is just a bit of residual charge in the battery just shorting out. Now straight away, if that was a genuine lithium battery, even with a good bit of discharge out of it, there would be much more dramatic sparks, and in fact the whole process I'm doing here would be a lot more dangerous. I wouldn't even attempt it with a proper lithium battery, and I'm going to show in a future video how lithium polymer batteries can literally explode if mistreated. But once I've got the top off here, you can see that there is no protection circuit for charge or discharge like it states on the case. When we pull the battery internals out, you can see it's been crudely taped together, very low quality. It looks like there is some lithium in there, but it looks like almost a film of it. Again, I don't know if the camera would have caught it, but you can see the layer tarnishing now that it's exposed to oxygen. So there is something in there that serves as a battery. Obviously there is. It's given 3.7-ish volts, and as I said before, it does power some devices. But had I attempted this with a proper lithium ion battery, the results would be a lot more dramatic, to the point that I probably wouldn't ever actually attempt it, certainly not inside, and certainly not without a lot of face protection and stuff like that. So what is the point of this video? What is it I'm trying to show you? Well, I've got two concerns. The first one, and the more minor of the two, is that this is a mis-selling issue. The battery will not perform as it claims. It does not have the capacity it claims because it does not have the quality or the amount of materials in there, as you saw when I took it apart. The other quite concerning thing is the battery claims to have short circuit and discharge protection. It doesn't. You've seen that when I took it apart. There would normally be a small circuit board on the top of the battery. There was nothing. But the more pressing of my two concerns is the fact that these could be dangerous. We've heard of vape machines and similar going on fire or exploding, and I wonder if this is the reason that that's happening. Now, if you draw a current on these that you should rightly expect the battery to take because of the spec it claims, there is going to be a potential danger issue there. Same with charging it. If you charge these, and a lot of people just charge them in their house, with a battery program meant for charging the battery this claims to be, you could have a house fire on your hands, and that's just not worth it. So always buy these from reputable online retailers and look out for some of the warning signs that I've showed you. Anyway, I hope that's been useful to you, and if it has been, please hit that like button. I would really appreciate it, and maybe even subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of good videos coming up and a lot of content planned. But for now, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Anyway, I hope that's been useful to you, and if it has, please hit that like button and maybe even subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot... Fuck off!